grab a notebook because you might want to write these down. Marie-Julie Jahenny was a 19th century French mystic who had incredible visions of our Lord, Our Lady, and various saints. She lived in a small village in Brittany where she received the stigmata at the age of 23. She survived for years on just the Eucharist, and she also had the gift of hierognosis, which means that she could tell the difference between a consecrated Eucharistic host and an unconsecrated host. She could tell whether an object had been blessed by a priest or not, and you could show her a relic and she would know whether it was authentic and where it came from without being told. But what really makes her story interesting, especially for us today, is that she was given numerous prophecies for modern times and for the end of the world, including remedies for chastisements. These remedies are very simple, using common plants that you might even have growing in your own backyard. So today I'm going to share about these remedies and how to use them. This information I'm about to share is for educational purposes only and is not meant as a substitute for medical advice. Make sure that you check with a healthcare provider before using herbal remedies, especially if you're pregnant or are on medications. The first remedy uses a very special plant, the hawthorn. Hawthorn grows in temperate regions of Europe, North America, Asia, and North Africa. They're thorny plants with toothed leaves and can be small shrubs or tall trees. In the spring, they have white or pink blossoms, and in the fall, they have red berries. It's believed that Christ's crown of thorns was woven from branches of the hawthorn. There's also a fascinating legend that one of Jesus' disciples, St. Joseph of Arimathea, cut a staff from the very same tree that the Roman soldiers used to make the crown of thorns. And after the crucifixion, he sailed to Glastonbury in England, where he stuck his staff into the earth. And miraculously, the staff took root and bloomed. This hawthorn tree became known as the Glastonbury Holy Thorn. The holy thorn miraculously flowered every winter, even though hawthorns are supposed to only bloom in the springtime. This started the tradition of cutting a flowering sprig and sending it to the British monarch every Christmas. Even after Glastonbury Abbey was brought to ruins during the reign of Elizabeth I, the thorn continued to flower at Christmas time, giving hope to Catholics who viewed the miraculous blooming as a testament to the fact that our faith continues to flourish even in persecution. The Puritans, on the other hand, hated the thorn since it was a Catholic symbol, and the holy thorn was chopped down and burned during the English Civil War of the 1600s. Fortunately, propagations of the original holy thorn survived. One, which was planted on Weariall Hill, lasted until May of 2019, when it was removed by the landowner and a Conservation Society member who considered the thorn to be dangerous. Some holy thorns still survive at the Church of St. John in Glastonbury, which is where the Christmas sprig for the king is now cut from. Hawthorn is one of the best herbs for the heart. It's been used for centuries to support cardiovascular health. It works as a cardiac tropo-restorative and cardiotonic, meaning it nourishes and strengthens the heart over time. It's also hypotensive, helping to lower blood pressure, and hypolipidemic, meaning it can reduce cholesterol levels. Its vasodilator properties improve circulation, while its anti-inflammatory and antioxidant properties protect blood vessels from damage. But hawthorn isn't just about the heart in a physical sense, it's also a nervine, which means it helps to calm the nervous system. This makes it especially helpful for those who experience anxiety or stress, particularly when that stress manifests as heart palpitations or high blood pressure. In Marie-Julie Jahenny's revelations, hawthorn can be used to treat a new illness which will occur in the future. On August 5th, 1880, Our Lady said to her, "There will be a grave illness which human science will not be able to alleviate. This illness will attack firstly the heart, then the spirit, and at the same time the tongue. It will be horrible. The heat accompanying it will be a devouring fire, insupportable, and so intense that the members of the body affected will be red, an unendurable fiery red." She goes on to say that the disease will have a 7-day incubation period, and it will spread rapidly all over the body, causing continual vomiting and nausea. To treat this disease, she says to gather the leaves of the hawthorn. Dried leaves are just as effective as fresh ones, and this is what the dried hawthorn leaves look like. So you boil these leaves in water for 14 minutes while covered so that the steam doesn't escape. You can do this in a covered pot on the stove, but what I like to do is boil the water in a kettle first and then pour that water into another container like this little pot. So this pot has an infuser inside of it to keep the herbs separate, and the lid keeps the steam inside. You can also use just an infuser like this inside a mug. And then this particular one has a lid, but if you don't have one with a lid, you can use a saucer to cover it. So Our Lady didn't specify what amount of herbs to use, so I use 2 teaspoons of herbs to 8 ounces of water. That's the standard that herbalists tend to use. And after that's been brewing for 14 minutes, your tea is ready to drink. Drink this tea 3 times a day as soon as you contract the disease, because Our Lady said that it is important to treat the disease promptly at the onset. If the remedy is taken too late, then the affected part of the body will become black with a pale yellow streak in the middle. In Marie Julie's revelations, Hawthorne can also be used to treat cholera. Cholera is a bacterial infection spread through contaminated water or food, and it causes severe watery diarrhea, vomiting, muscle cramps, and dehydration. A common question I get asked about Hawthorne is how to find it without the flowers. It would be really hard to find dried hawthorn leaves without the flowers in them, because hawthorn leaves are typically harvested in the spring together with the flowers. But that's okay, because Our Lady didn't say that you can't use the flowers. In her message, she simply says to gather the leaves and not the wood, but she doesn't say anything about the flowers. Also, just so you know, typically you will find a few twigs mixed in with the leaves and the flowers, but that's okay too. Our Lady didn't say the wood was bad. She just said that the wood isn't going to help you. It's the leaves that will help you. If you're making your own herbal teas, tinctures, or salves, you need high quality herbs, organic or wildcrafted, grown without pesticides, and ethically sourced. That's exactly what Mountain Rose Herbs provides. As an independently owned company, they prioritize quality and community over profits. Every batch of their organic botanicals is rigorously tested for identity and purity, ensuring you get exactly the herb you need, nothing more, nothing less. To support this show at no additional cost to you, use my link mary.humblehousewives.com/herbs when you shop at Mountain Rose. That's mary.humblehousewives.com/herbs. Okay, this next remedy uses a very common plant, which could be growing as a weed in your own backyard. It's the violet, and it's probably one of the most useful herbs in my collection. Violets are called Our Lady's modesty because they are a symbol of the Blessed Virgin Mary's humility. St. Bernard of Clairvaux used violets to teach the virtue of humility, since violets bloom low to the ground and don't draw attention to themselves, yet they give off a sweet fragrance. Violet is a very gentle herb that has been used for centuries across many cultures for a variety of health benefits. It's known for its cooling and soothing qualities and is commonly used to help with respiratory issues like coughs and asthma, thanks to its anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, and expectorant properties. It's also used topically for skin problems like eczema, acne, and wounds. Violet supports the lymphatic system, helping with swollen glands and fibrocystic breasts. It also calms the nervous system, which makes it useful for stress, insomnia, and emotional healing, especially when dealing with grief or anger. Violet is so gentle that it's often used for children with asthma or needing immune support. St. Hildegard of Bingen, a mystic and doctor of the church who wrote extensively on herbal medicine, had a lot to say about violets. She used them in salves and poultices for cataracts, palsy, headaches, and ulcers. She says to eat violets as a salad with plantain, savory, and vinegar if you have tertian fevers. That's a type of fever that recurs every 3rd day, typically caused by the malaria parasite. She also recommends that anyone who suffers from depression, along with ailing lungs, should cook the violets in wine, strain them out, add a pinch of galangal, that's a spice related to turmeric and ginger, add a pinch of licorice root powder, and drink this spiced wine to make you feel happy again and heal your lungs. Marie Julie's revelations simply state, for unknown fevers, the humble violet, the perfume and virtue of humility will have effect. I'm assuming she's referring to an infusion here, just like with Hawthorne. So the usual dosage would be 1 to 2 teaspoons of the dried violet. This is what that looks like in 8 ounces of boiling water. And you would brew that covered for 5 to 10 minutes and drink that 3 times a day. I will give this tea to my kids with some honey if they have a fever or if they have a cold. Okay, the last of Marie Julie's herbal remedies for times of chastisement uses St. John's herb. This is that right here. And the scientific name is glaucoma heteracea, not to be confused with St. John's wort, which is a completely different species of plant. There's been some confusion about this because some translations of Marie Julie's revelation say St. John's wort. However, the species name given is glaucoma heteracea. Glaucoma heteracea is a common ground ivy, also known as creeping Charlie. Like violet, you may have this growing as a weed in your own yard if you live in northern temperate regions of the US, Eurasia, or Canada. It is a member of the mint family and has round or kidney-shaped leaves with scalloped edges and bluish purplish flowers. St. John's herb has traditionally been used to support the lungs and the respiratory system. It acts as an anti-catarrhal, expectorant, and pectorant, helping to clear congestion and soothe coughs. It is anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, and astringent, making it useful for strengthening tissues and reducing irritation. It is also known for aiding digestion. It works as a digestive, stomachic, and tonic, meaning it stimulates the appetite, supports gut health, and promotes overall well-being. It also has diuretic and depurative properties, helping the body eliminate toxins. Historically, it was a remedy for scurvy due to its vitamin C content. Women have used it to encourage menstrual flow, and it's even been applied topically to heal wounds. It can also be used to induce nasal discharge and clear blocked sinuses. However, do not use this herb if you are pregnant or trying to become pregnant because it may cause miscarriage. St. Hildegard recommends ground ivy for various illnesses of the head, for chest pain, and for revitalizing the body to speed up recovery. Marie Julie's revelations say, "You will take an infusion of St. John's herb, especially during crisis, sufferings of the head, and violent headaches." No other instructions are given, but the typical dosage would be 2 teaspoons per 8 ounces of water, steeped in just boiled water for 5 to 10 minutes, and drank 3 times per day. In her mystical revelations, Marie Julie was not only given physical remedies for chastisements, but spiritual remedies as well. She was given specific prayers to be said during great disasters and storms. She was also given prophecies about 3 days of darkness, which would cover the entire earth. Since multiple mystics have predicted global darknesses and blackouts, I started to worry that I was relying on my phone to store all of my favorite prayers. That's why I compiled Lumen Fidelium, Prayers for the Children of the Light. This comprehensive prayer book includes the essential traditional prayers and approved prayers from private revelation, including Marie Julie's, that the faithful need to get through tough times ahead. The print is large enough for mature eyesight, and it is beautifully illustrated with Flemish medieval illuminations, rich in mystical symbolism. Order your copy of Lumen Fidelium and never worry about losing your favorite prayers again. Visit shop.humblehousewives.com and use promo code MARY to get 10% off your first order. That's shop.humblehousewives.com, promo code MARY. All right, before I wrap up this episode, there are a few other remedies of Marie Julie's that are worth saving for the future. So grab a notebook because you might want to write these down. For unknown illnesses, you're going to need a medal of the Divine Heart of Jesus and a medal of the Cross. Now, if you have a scapular medal, which I do right here, then you may already have these 2 medals in one, because the scapular should have an image of the Sacred Heart of Jesus, and many scapular medals are in the shape of a cross like this because they're a 4-way one. This one has not only the scapular, but it also has the miraculous medal and the St. Joseph medal and the St. Christopher medal. I got this one on Etsy, and you can find lots of these vintage 4-way scapular medals also on Etsy. So what you do is you dip the 2 images, the Sacred Heart and the cross, or just this one medal, into your water before drinking it. Jesus said to Marie Julie, "You will drink this water that is twice blessed and twice purified. A single drop in your food, a tiny drop, will be sufficient to keep away not just the scourge, but the scourges of my justice. You will give a drop of this water to the poor souls struck by the scourges of unknown illnesses." For fear, you will need a picture of Our Lady or a miraculous medal. So again, if you already have a 4-way medal, then you already have a miraculous medal. Jesus says, "To dissipate all fear and all fright, you will touch your foreheads with the picture or the gentle medal of Mary Immaculate. Your spirits will remain calm. Your intelligence will not fear the approach of the terror of men. They will not feel the effects of my great justice. Then finally, Marie Julie's revelations mention a mortal plague. There's not a lot of detail given about it, but by its name, I'm assuming that this is a very deadly disease. She says there will be only one remedy for protection from this plague. It will be to write on very thin paper, "O Jesus, conqueror of death, save us. O crux ave." Then you roll up this paper into like a little ball and swallow it like a pill. I'd suggest using an ultra-fine tip food-safe pen with edible ink. These are usually used for cake decorating. That way you're not swallowing anything toxic. You can find these on Amazon, and I'll link one in the description. Remember, even during tough times, we can always count on God to know what's best for us. So even when we get struck with illnesses or with hardships, we can trust Him that it's all according to His plan. It's comforting to know that there are remedies which God placed in nature to help us deal with these things, but it's also important to remember that God may still allow us to get sick, and that's okay. A friend of mine with MS said that once when she was struggling to walk and she was grumbling about it, she heard a voice say very clearly and distinctly that every step she takes while complaining, a soul could be lost. So perhaps the most important thing we can remember is to offer all our sufferings to God without complaint so that He can use them to save souls.